I'm Julian from IXO with Julian, and in this video I'd like to cover the topic of absolute value word problems. In this video we'll cover what the absolute value is, strategies for word problems, 5 questions in IXO, and then we'll come back here for a recap of today's lesson. But before we start, I just want to thank you all for helping me reach 52 subscribers. I really enjoy making these videos for you guys, and each subscriber means the world to me. I'm in IXO right now, and I just want to do a couple of questions. But before we start, I just want to define the absolute value. Now, the absolute value is a number's distance from 0, irrespective of the sign. And I will also go through some ways that you can work through a word problem with the most efficiency. So, here's what we're going to do. In the new Dungeon Voyager video game, Isaac's avatar loses health points if he gets trapped. The table shows how much his health points change if he gets caught in different traps. Which trap causes Isaac to lose the most health points? So this is tip number 1, read it first. Now we're going to highlight the important information and underline the question. So he loses health points if he gets trapped. Table shows how much his health points change if he gets caught in different traps. I'm going to underline the question. Which trap causes Isaac to lose the most health points? Now, for this question, you can do the absolute value, or if you look at it here, you see that negative 15 is the smallest number because it's the farthest from 0. So, you know that the spike wall gives him the biggest change in health points. Okay, in the Bunny Trouble video game, Estelle has to stop bunny rabbits from stealing Farmer Samuel's vegetables. The table shows how many points Estelle loses when the bunnies eat different kinds of vegetables. Which vegetable makes Estelle lose the least points? Okay, so for this one we're going to use the absolute value. I am going to highlight. But what I did forget to do in the previous question is write my sentence answer. So I will do a sentence answer for this question and the rest of the questions. So, the table shows how many points lose. Okay, and then I'll underline the question here. Okay, so let's find the absolute value. So the absolute value of negative 15 is just 15. The absolute value of negative 10 is 10. The absolute value of 5 is 5. So, which vegetable makes Estelle lose the least points? Radishes, because radishes has the smallest number. Now, for our sentence answer, I'm going to say radishes. I'm going to say this verbally because it's a little hard to write on the computer, but Estelle loses the least points when the bunny eats the radishes. Okay. Now for our third question. The roads on Pine Frost Mountain were closed 3 times last year because of extreme weather. The table shows how low the temperatures were on those 3 dates. On which date was the low temperature closest to 0? Okay, so table shows the low temperature on these 3 dates, and we'll underline the question. Okay, so absolute value of 12 is 12. Absolute value of negative 9 is 9. And the absolute value of negative 13 equals 13. So, Which is the closest to 0? Well, 9, because it's the smallest number. Once you find the absolute value, which means it's closest to 0, which means it's January 9th. And for a sentence answer for that, you'd say the day where the temperature was the closest to 0 was January 9th. Okay, now on to our next question. The mayor of Townsville is looking at the approval ratings of past mayors. She wonders if some of their decisions led to greater changes in approval rating than others. The table shows how much one mayor's approval rating changed each year he was in office. During which year did the approval rating change the most? Okay, so I'm going to highlight this, which talks about my chart, and I will highlight the question. Sorry. Okay. During which year did the approval rating change the most? Well, I don't know about you, but I don't think we need to do the absolute value for this question. It is possible you find the absolute value of -8 and you get +8, and you find the absolute value of -4 and you get +4. So 8, 6, 4, and 7. And you can see that 8 is the largest change in the approval rating. So it's 1986. And for the sentence answer, you would write the year that the mayor had an office with the biggest change in approval rating was in 1986. Now for our fifth and final question. Carl is a climatologist studying tidal patterns. At various times throughout the day, he records the tide's height relative to the average tide. At what time did the highest tide occur? Okay, so various times throughout the day, he records the height. Okay, and I'll underline the question. So, at what time did the highest tide occur? Now, for this one, what we're going to do is immediately cross out our negatives, because negative heights are not going to be the highest tide. Now, at 3 p.m., we know that 42 is less than 64, so it should be 6 a.m. Now, back to the video. Welcome back. In this video, we covered absolute value word problems. We covered what the absolute value is. That is just a way to see how far a number is from 0, irrespective of the sign. We learned strategies for solving our word problems, such as reading the text and then highlighting, underlining the question, and last but not least, not required in iExcel, a sentence answer. And we did 5 questions in iExcel. If you did happen to enjoy this video, please consider subscribing, as it helps out a ton and pushes these educational kinds of videos out to a large audience. Thanks!